part of managing people. I'm not going to go into the definition because I'm not at college. I'm here to talk about HR and business. But if you want, you can always read there. Now, what is human resources? Human resources is the process of managing people in organizations in a structured and thorough manner. There are, in terms of the areas that I'm just going to briefly talk about: recruitment, compensation, reward, conduct, performance management, safety, wellness, employee motivation, training. These are the things that kind of cover under human resources. Now, human resources, we say, is a strategic role in managing people. Now, for a small company, you may not understand this because I will explain this as I go. You may not understand because you'll be doing everything on your own, but the bigger the company, you realize that it's very, very important that all those issues are managed the right way. So my presentation today is structured from a small company, medium company, potentially to larger companies, but I want to dwell so much on small and medium companies, if you allow me. So if you effectively manage your human resources, you can achieve your goals as a business. Now, I put this rule there. HR is a small cog in the organization. Then the rest of the business, in terms of all the operations, and then the bigger picture is to achieve the business goals of the organization. Now, the whole structure here explains the focus. So we've got the people, which is human resources. We've got the systems. That's why you've got accounting, operations. These guys are respected in companies so much because they make money for the business. But there is a tendency of forgetting this part. Now, if we then focus on the strategy, we have to have all these three together, where the person is a strategic partner, is administrative expert, is an employee champion, and a change agent. So it's important that we understand that we cannot do without these people in the company. Now, in terms of HR, in terms of the size of the business, the smaller the size of the business, the lesser number of HR people you need in your organization. Now, I'll explain this. The large organization you find, I've had a look at, and I've worked with NHS, they can have 20 people in the HR department. You could have 10 HR advisors, you could have an HR director, you could have an HR business partner, you could have HR administrators, HR assistants. The number can grow depending on the size of the organization. So, for example, the company I was advising, for example, Network Rail, they had only HR advisors, they had 15 HR advisors. Only 15, because they've got 6,000 managers, the whole of England. Now, they only had 15 HR advisors, not talking about the senior position. So the larger the organization, the more roles you have to create in the human resources. Now going down to medium company, maybe you can only have an HR manager, HR admin, HR advisor, depending on the size. Then if for a small company, it's normally the director who does everything. So as you are growing a business, you need to understand that you're gonna have to relieve some of those roles in terms of how you want to grow your business, because you need to focus on making money than managing people. So you have to understand what is human resources and what role do I play as a business owner so that I manage this resource effectively. Why human resources? Now, human resources help you in terms of helping your company grow. Legislation is so tight these days. People can just walk in an employment tribunal. So you have to understand the legislation. Importance to the business success, intellectual capital, that's the people. Knowledge and competence, that's the people. And the failure of a business in the dynamic environment is also caused by failing to manage these resources. So pay more attention to developing human resources potential than ever before. I will talk earlier as I go. There are things like GDPR coming in there, so many things about Brexit. You have to be very, very aware how to manage people. I'll give you examples as I go of things that could go wrong to help you as well. I'm not gonna go too much on there. So HR, just as a snippet in terms of the functions before I go on. So HR has got these functions. So you find that as a director of a small company, you tend to do all these things. Yeah? How many agree with me? You tend to do all these things. You recruit someone, you train. Some of you have even taken training certificates, depending on the company you've got. If you're in the healthcare, for example, there is reward. You do the payroll yourself. You manage the performance yourself. You do discipline grievance yourself. And you even terminate employment yourself as well. All in the name of human resources. But now, as the company grows, these ones, you find that they can have their own department. That's why you find there are recruitment agencies, Reed Indeed, they just stand alone because it's a field and an area on its own. Sometimes we think we know it all, but if you imagine that Reed are specializing in only recruiting staff and you are doing it, you're not supposed to be doing it. Do you understand? Because it's an area. Training on its own is an area. Payroll is an area. Why? Because we tend to do these things because we are trying to save money, but for some people, it then creates them problems in the future because they haven't laid the correct foundation from the beginning. Is that making sense? Yeah. Okay. So, as I was saying, instrumental in providing employment law compliance, record keeping, hiring and training, compensation and performance. So these functions are critical because without those functions being completed, your company would not be able to meet the essential needs of management and staff. Now, I'll just give you a snippet of these, some of the things we could talk about if you invite me again, or maybe it's your company, for example. But these things like GDPR coming in May, on the 20th of May. There's gender pay gap, this recent these days. Brexit, employee engagement, performance management, HR analytics. There's so many softwares out there. You name it about human resources that you could talk about. These are some of the things you have to know. I'm not going to talk about most of them, but I'll just brush through them. Now, as you are aware, the beginning things, or what we understand when we're starting a business, we don't realize the strategic role of HR. We kind of feel like it's just the admin part. I'm just recruiting someone. Some people think they still call it personnel from long ago. It's just admin, it's just paperwork. So yes, it is paperwork. From the moment you start recruiting someone, you need to have 10, 15 forms, for example. I remember I was creating a recruitment pack. There's lots of documents. You talk of contracts, offer letters, invite letters, interview assessment, interview questionnaires, job descriptions, all there. So this is the admin side of HR. So all you have to understand, the forms, I've talked about them already. There's lots of photocopying, right to work checks, you name them, dates, start dates, on the contract has to be there, every date for everything, salary, termination days, you name them. Then you've got things like sickness, annual leave, for example. You have to record all those dates as well. And then there's filing. Oh my God, filing is a pain. I've been in companies where it's shambles, really, in terms of the way files are. It's very, very essential. And why it's essential is that all those things is all part of record keeping and things, GDPR coming as well. So you need to understand that it's all part of HR. If you are doing that, I'm trying to make you understand that that's part of HR. It's not your role as a director. So there are so many HR softwares out there that you can use, and HR information systems. And I've just talked about GDPR. Now, if you breach this now, it's very, very critical, this one. You have got a fine to pay of up to £500,000 with the potential sanction for a non-compliance rising up to 20 million or 4% of your annual global turnover. Now, if you are starting a company and if you are growing, you don't want this kind of a thing. So, you think then you as a director, you can do this, but that's a law and a legislation on its own. You're going to have to study. Why not find clients for your business? Why not market your business than research on all these things? So sometimes, in terms of some of the companies, I don't know if some of them you've used them. I'm not marketing anyone here, but I'm just showing some of the softwares that are available. Employment law is not been created for experts. That's why there's ACAS. That's why it's so simplified that any manager from the factory can do it. It's not a science. So it's only that you just need to be told how you can do that. So depending on how you grow, there's what they call HR outsourcing, the peninsula, the sanitation we talked about. You could either recruit someone in your organization. Now, that's, I would say, a bit dangerous because they may not know everything. That's another problem. They may not know everything, so you end up paying more as well for that. So as a business, you have to understand what you need in terms of what support you need as you grow. So I say there, medium to large companies often choose to employ solicitors, use HR consultants or HR advisors, but this can be a challenge for SMEs as well. But you need to understand then how what I'm making you understand is that all these things you need to understand why they're important, and then you put things in place in your company as you grow. Now, I like this area so much because all the other things we talked about, payroll, admin side of HR, they are simple because it's all about reporting stuff. So you could use your own administrator for that. This is the main thing. This is where you go. If you go on a company that provides outsourcing, they talk about this thing because this is going back now to my vest I said earlier about the roles we've given people. There's things about poor performance. How do you manage that? Grievance, discipline. Some of you here, if someone does something, they get scared. What can I do? How do I deal with this? But they are very, very simple things. Someone, for example, absence management, you let your staff go off sick whenever they want. They just call and they cancel shift and you just say, oh, they are sick, people get sick, so it's fine. No, it's not fine. If they are off sick 2-3 times, it's not fine. They have to stop. They have to stop. You have to have a discussion with them about it. You are always off sick all the time. You put them in a room and say, Noah, I'm cautioning you now. If you're off sick again, because sickness, yes, people can be sick, but there has to be a limit to the amount of sickness one can have because it disrupts and it affects your business. So, performance, you start someone on probation. I had a case with some of the issues that absence, family friendly. You refuse someone special leave, for example. You're not supposed to do that. They've got their child who's poorly. They are allowed to go and look after their child. Yeah, if you do that, that's against the law. They can take you to court. But there's an amount. Then you come back to me and say, oh, I've given him that time. This one again. They are still doing it again. How do I go about resolving this issue? That's when you now need an expert to help you. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's so many employment legislation. I'm not going to go through there. But as you understand, in April, the minimum wage has gone up. Some of you didn't know. There you go. It's now 7.83, going at just a payroll if you haven't done that. And then there is the Equality Act of 2010. This is very, very big as well and massive. There are protected characteristics. We talk about disability, gender orientation, gender reassignment, sexual orientation, things like that. Even from the moment you recruit your job description, someone can even go and make a mistake that only female required. You haven't even explained why females are required. Now, if someone sees that advert, they will just take you to court. They are discriminating me. You could take into court by someone you have not even met. Yes, you say female only required. Why? What, you are already discriminating because you don't know the laws of the country. So that kind of a thing of even putting a job description on the internet, you need someone to help you with that. Yeah? I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to teach you employment law. I want to talk to you about human resources. Now, why all these things? There are so many employee rights. In these countries, employees are very precious. Yeah? So you need to understand, when you recruit someone, within 8 weeks, they have to have an employment contract. Some of you don't even have an employment contract. Some of them are working. Or some of them are just copying and pasting employment contracts for self. Now, I met a company, they copied and pasted a contract for someone. And it was saying that for someone who's an agency worker, they can be given, they say, a month notice. Why a month for someone who's an agency worker? They need 1 day. Now, this person said, they were disrupting everything. Now, this person, they were causing problems. Then the guy called me, they